Rihanna apologizes to Muslim community for careless mistake.
She put some lyrics from like a religious text or something in her song as like a sample. And so that's what that was all about. I looked into that. I'm across the news, don't you worry.
That's amazing. I did not expect you to know that at all. Why would you do that? You know what's going to happen.
Because I had the same reaction you did. I saw that as a headline. I was like, what?
No, why would she do that?
Oh, right. No, I would do something like that. I would become a pop star and like misappropriate some, really sensitive religious material and put it into my pop music. That's a Gus move. That's a classic Angus.
Absolutely. That's a classic Angus for sure. I also like that you immediately went to, you assumed that it was a criticism of you. Like, why would you do that? I read, Nicholas.
Assuming that it's a criticism on me, guess what that is? That's a classic Angus.
That's a classic Angus.
How are you?
Hey everybody, welcome to the somewhat daily backup for Wednesday, the 7th of October. My goodness, I'm your host, Nick Boy Richards, and I'm joined by Angus Sex Magician Ronald. Looking good today.
Thank you very much. Am I? That's a throwaway kind of thing now. If I either reanimate that and make a big deal about it, or I just click my fingers and it happens. And it's like,
I think it's phenomenal. I'm jealous. I want something.
Look, I'll come up with one I can easily do a Woodsman Burns, like some trees coming down, that sort of thing. But
I want something.
You missed Pete giving you a nickname yesterday when you walked off camera on Monday. He called you Nick the Standing Man Richardson or something because you like to stand up a lot. So what I can do with that as an animation, not quite sure yet.
It's
not
terrible.
Quite sure.
This is why we put Pete's on the tools, as we say in the business, and he's not front of house, as we say in the business.
And I'm on the flair. That's getting old quick. That really is getting old.
No, it's fine. No, I mean 2 times in 1 minute, maybe a little bit, but one an episode. We're totally fine with that. How is everybody doing? I see you Grim Pixels. I see you Jackie Jaxes. I see you Pete Guns. I see you Xeno Jesses. I see you Dolphin Pants. Nix, let's just grow forever.
I see your dolphin pants.
I do see your dolphin pants. Welcome to the show, everybody. We are here to discuss the gaming news. It's happened the last couple of days. Once again, I feel like, Gus, we hit this deluge of news over the last 2 months where it was all new consoles and all this sort of stuff coming out. And then I feel like everyone's just a bit exhausted. And so they're not dropping these bombshells that I was getting this comfortable life where it was like, price reveals now.
Every
console
day,
looks this one. Yeah.
One console takes a swing at the other and then one punches back. And I don't think there's not news happening. I just think it's lost its kind of like that rev up period. I think everyone's lost a bit of the rev up period. I mean, this year, we can do that whole thing. But also in the lead up to these consoles, I feel like everyone was getting really hyped. And then we had a bit of wind taken out from everyone's sails with like couple of titles getting pushed back and all that sort of stuff. More delays on top of that. Bit of bad news here and there. Trump, Corona.
Which is ready for it to happen.
Yeah, we need something monumentally large to happen in the news and for us all to be like, shake us all up, re-energize us.
But good news. Make it monumentally large good news, please.
Yes, please. I mean,
more of that Trump Corona stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's sweet, sweet. He's heading into the dangerous period. That's that he makes it through.
Yeah, what did you think? He makes it through. All right, let's get ready for the news. We can't get ready for the news without announcing 2 important people. The first is today's Pocketeer patron extraordinaire, and that is Kurt Williams. Kurt is a member of the wonderful Back Pocket Patreon community. Kurt, thank you very much for your patronage, and may you never forget to put together the Pocketeer Patron Extraordinaire and then simply look down and say the first name that you see on the list of the patrons. So I hope that never happens to you, Kurt. But thank you very much for your patronage. We are overjoyed to have you as part of this community.
I'll filibuster with you there and say, I reckon Kurt is a great name. I don't know many Kurts, and therefore I kind of like, it's that thing that if you don't know many of them, you don't assimilate it with anyone good or bad. Right. And you go like, yeah, Kurt's a good name. The only one I can think of is Kirk Cameron. Oh, that's Kirk with a K at the end.
What about Kurt Cobain?
Yep.
There you go. That's a good Kurt.
He's a great Kurt.
It's a good Kurt. This is Kurt with a C. So this is like a short, terse phrase.
Wait, C-U-R-T?
Oh, you better believe it.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
do you want me to give you his email address as well?
And that sweet CCV number or whatever it is.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Well, you're definitely our favorite Kurt, I would say. Kurt Cobain, obviously dead. So you're the only one. You're the only Kurt I know. Kurt Russell, people are saying. Kurt Russell, Gus. You love Kurt Russell. You are Kurt Russell.
Wait, he's the Australian guy, right? I've just had a mental blank. It's early.
Kurt Russell, The Thing.
Oh, yeah. What am I thinking of? Russell Crowe. All right. It's early. Kurt Russell is great. Young Kurt Russell in The Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is great.
It's gone massively off the rails. What am I thinking of? Naomi Watts.
The Crow, starring that film where the guy died.
And the other person, of course, we need to thank is none of this would be possible without Tim. Get your exclamation mark Tim's out in the chat because Tim is the official back pocket sponsor of the Backup, sponsored by Tim from the Learn Programming Academy. If you want to learn programming from a man named Tim, then the Learn Programming Academy and Tim from the Learn Programming Academy is the programmer Tim you want to learn from in an academy setting. All you need to do is download his guide, go to lpa.dev/backpocket, find out all the things that Tim can offer you. It's not just programming. It's delicious treats. It's dancing. It's one photo per person.
In an academy setting?
Yeah, they all need to be. They are classroom-based photos, but he will take a custom photo for every single person that signs up to his... he won't do that. He won't do that.
I hope it's in front of those like grey, marbly backgrounds that those drop sheets that they put behind for school photos, which are just like an ambivalent kind of just Yeah, nothing, no fun backdrops. Hey, update on my exclamation mark Tim news coding saga.
Oh, that you wanted to do one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one. I have not started, but I reckon we should make that. That has now set the precedent that I should definitely sign up so we can have updates of how my coding is going. Maybe I could put the thing I've coded up.
Oh, that's nice.
Some little coding samples, stuff like that. So, once I just sort out my Kurt Russells from my Russell Crowes, I am on to my coding. Don't you worry.
Well, all you need to do is sit down, and you don't need to spell things like Kurt because you can just watch videos. They're all video-based. They're easy to watch at all skill levels. You can watch them offline on your phone. They're cheap. They're $20 or less. And Tim guarantees, this is a Tim guarantee, that you will watch a video if you click on one of those videos. He guarantees it. You'll see moving images. And, I mean, what more could you ask for in today's...
For $20? $20 these days?
What are you going to spend that money on? Watching Mulan? No. You're going to watch Tim.
What are you going to learn from that? Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Cultural inappropriation or something.
You may as well just listen to a Rihanna song.
You'll unlearn something historic by watching that film.
You absolutely will, but you will learn something special from Tim, and I assume it's probably got something to do with coding. All right, we've spoken enough about Tim. My God. Poor Loki Cat just gets told that he licks himself in our office, and Tim gets a 5-minute spiel about how he's basically the savior to Australia's economy.
Raj gets like a passive-aggressive love poem from you, and then Slowponk just gets the sexiest of all of them. So, yeah, poor Loki Cat feels like he gets the raw end, but I feel like he gets the most endearing kind of like... you can always hear the panic in our voices when we get to Loki Cat, so he's got that to enjoy.
It's a bit now. It's his bit, and he just needs to accept it. All right, something else that we need to accept. If you're French and you work for Activision Blizzard... Unfortunately, you probably don't anymore. They are closing down one of their offices, specifically the Versailles Blizzard office. The news comes from Bloomberg, where all important video game news comes from these days, where this morning Jason Schreier reported that staff have been told that the studio, which at one point employed around 400 people, will be closed. And according to the report, the office covered customer support, localization, and marketing across Europe. The move is a change from an earlier plan to relocate the French team to London. Gus, we don't know anyone who works at the studio, but
are you
getting the same bad vibes about Activision Blizzard as I have been over the last couple of months?
Yeah, there's been some pretty big news that has been not in the good news category. However, I'm not going to use the excuses that it's just been a 2020 year for businesses, that's, everything's been difficult. But it's undeniable that there's been some pretty serious drops in the ability to keep people employed and keep studios up and running and that sort of thing as well. But you're right, when you've got big companies like this that you hope would have contingencies in there to keep some, to keep people employed, or at least some form of these studios running, rather than, for me, it's the 1-2 punch of, we were going to move you to London. Actually, no, you know what? Like, it almost sounded like, not an expansion, but it was like they had a plan in place. Yeah. Obviously, that plan didn't go ahead for, I'm sure, reasons that we wouldn't know the minutiae of, but big business reasons. But end of the day, it's people out of a job. It's talented people that were supporting a product which predominantly is still doing well, you would think, in a pandemic, in the current climate that we have. So you're right. It is just part of the deluge of bad news.
I feel like something has happened within Blizzard over the last couple of years where when they signed the deal with Activision, there was just this period where Activision were like, all right, we're going to just let you continue to do whatever it is you want to do. And I feel like that period expired sometime in the last couple of years, and Activision have just been coming in and going, all right, it's time that you make video games the way that we want you to make video games and run your business the way that we want you to. I mean, Mike Morhaime stepped down as CEO in 2018, which is a very big deal because I know a few people who work at Blizzard. I've done interviews with tons of people from Blizzard over the years, and they all talk about how Mike Morhaime was like the beating heart of that company. And then he left in 2018 and just kind of went quiet and was like, I'm kind of just like out of the business now, and didn't really say anything. And then suddenly, last week, I think it was, the Dreamhaven thing.
Yes, I was about to say. So that's the studio they were developing that really only had like a handful of people, or maybe even one or two, just from original OG Blizzard, I believe.
No, the other way around. They've got 27 employees. There's like only only one of them are not Blizzard alumni. So
I see. I misread
26 people from the company are ex-Blizzard people, and it's like Dustin Browder, who was like game director of Heroes of the Storm, Jason Chase from Hearthstone, Eric Dodds from WoW, Chris Siggety from Warcraft, Ben Thompson from Hearthstone. Like, these are huge like game director leading the vision of these games people who have all left Blizzard, and it's literally like, again, the non-disclosure, non-compete clause expired for Mike Morhaime.
Bang, we can execute on this and suddenly
totally, yeah. Like, this is basically like all the things you love about Blizzard games came from these people.
I was going to say, these are the personalities at the forefront of why those games were great and why those communities were so fantastic as well. So, look, I guess it's not very, the facade has dropped, and it's like, well, we're just pivoting these people, because essentially at the end of the day, you can have as much brand loyalty as you want to something because of a game that's been made under it, but it is these people, it is the core team that made those games the way they are. So, I mean, if we can get beyond the fact that it's like, well, we're just putting a different label on these games, and we're going to see something as hopefully as heartfelt and wonderfully developed as things like Hearthstone HOTS and Overwatch. Thank you, Overwatch.
Wow. Yep.
Then that's good news that they are all still working together.
I seriously reckon, like, I do think that in 5 years' time, Blizzard could be looking like a very, very different company than
bit of a shell of itself, or just like just a label left.
Which is sad, because I feel like I have a lot of affinity for a lot of Blizzard games, but I don't actually care about the name of a company. Like, it's like the people who work there who made the cool things. That's the thing that I actually like.
The difficulty will be detaching those characters that you love, especially with something like an Overwatch and like a WoW, where it's like those are things that you can have an affinity for, that you can have a real heartstring attachment to, and they are attached to Blizzard intrinsically. So if Blizzard starts to become a former shell of itself, it's like, when do you start detaching the fandom from the IP that they once created? But hopefully these guys come up with things just as wonderful to get attached to. Where's Rockholes? Is
that a real name?
I don't know many Kurtz, but I'll tell you what, I know no Where's Rockholes.
That is... I'm looking that up right now. That's got to be a joke.
That's just like, he's probably Wesley, and Rockholes is like, sounds like a cool... I'm going to have a stab at like a Scandinavian surname.
It is a real human being.
Rockholes.
With the name Wes Rockholes, which I'm not making fun of, which I think is incredible.
He sounds like he just moved from his like death metal band and moved into game development. It was like, Wes Rockholes.
He needs gay pornography.
He needs a Z on the end of the Wes as well.
Yeah, but there needs to be several Zs throughout that entire name.
Yeah, not great news there, and we'll have to see. But good news that I'll start a Dreamhaven tab on my browser to just like check the updates there or go follow them on Twitter or something because that sounds exciting.
There you go. That is exciting. Something else that Sony are hoping will be exciting. They expect that the PS5 will be outselling the PS4 in its first year. Even with the unprecedented setbacks caused by the coronavirus panic, CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, believes the company will sell more than 7 million PS5 units in its first fiscal year on the market. Oh my goodness, Angus.
Fiscal year, that's till when next year? That's
well, it would be the Japanese fiscal year, which I think ends at the end of March, beginning of April. So
wow.
Yeah. In its first, that's a very good question. I wonder if fiscal year counts as it wouldn't count until the end of that from November. They're not selling 7 million units there.
No, they couldn't.
I do not believe that would be the case. Pete doesn't think they can make 7 million units.
He would think that.
In that.
That's that.
7 million. Oh, wait, hang on. They reckon that it will be... oh no, never mind. Okay, go on. How do we feel about this? Because this is a big swing.
It's ambitious, bloody ambitious. But I mean, if there's any console that has had a history of selling insane amounts, having not enough supply for the demand, it's PlayStation. PlayStation 4 was, I'm just thinking back, and I'm assuming 3 might have as well, but 4 was the one that I really remember there was a drought of, that people were all clambering around to get their pre-orders in and get one on release and couldn't. So yeah, PlayStation and Sony know how to drive that demand, and if they've got the numbers that predict this, then I'm sure they're not just pulling it out of their ass. I hope they're not. Who knows?
The interesting thing, I was doing some reading on this because I was like, God, you think about like Corona, obviously like the economic state of the world is not particularly strong right now. So it's a big claim that they think that they would get there in the first place. But they attribute a lot of this thinking to the fact that the PS4 has put the company in such a good position in terms of like brand loyalty and people's expectations for what they get from the console. Yeah. Because at the end of the PS3 cycle, like it was the opposite. Like everyone, broad strokes, but everyone loved the 360, and the PS3 was like, oh yeah, they'll figure out what they're going to do with this once it's finished folding from home. And then the PS4 comes out, and the PS4 utterly dominates. By June 2020, the PS4 had sold 112 million units, and then the Xbox One X had sold 46 million units. So almost triple.
And you're right, like looking at that as a statistic, it is basically saying these are people who are, well, those numbers, I'm sure there's a percentage of how many of them who have that PS4 who are going to upgrade. So if you're already dominating that number, then there's a high chance that that number is just going to continue to grow when you have a new product on the market. And
and I did just double check, and they do think that they mean by the end of the fiscal year on March 31st, 2021. So they think 6 months, which BRB Cycling says PS4 was 7.5 million in 6 months. So there you go.
Oh, wow.
They can do it, apparently.
Jesus.
Which is a wild number. And it also kind of, I feel like it's going against a little bit in terms of the public conversation, at least in the gaming space, of how much appetite there is for these consoles. Because I feel like the main story over the last couple of months is people saying, justify a new console for me. And at the moment, a lot of people are saying that they don't have that justification.
No, I mean, I was chatting with Pete yesterday in the office, and we had those little moments where we had to stand back and be like, hang on, what is coming out on this, and why would I have the urge to go and get this? And again, it's those exclusives, which there's very little of on both camps now at the moment. It's like we couldn't, it's not this game, I'll tell you what, because I won't be able to play this game when it comes out. So, because it won't be out.
I do think you're going to end up loving this game.
I think I now have to, in some kind of like very poetic sense, I have to play it and finish it and be like game of the year. But that's sad that I won't be able to because obviously cancelled. I think, those exclusives are what drives, at least for me, and Pete was echoing that as well. And realistically, there's Demon Souls on this, and there's not much on Xbox. So I don't know why that's not that drive or that isn't drying up in the public eye as well, and those numbers aren't, and they're not playing it safe and thinking, okay, maybe we should lower our expectations just so we don't look silly when it comes out and people realize there's nothing to play on these, or there's not as much as there could be on a launch. But they're staying optimistic, and maybe people that blind sort of not corporate, what I'm thinking of, consumerism is just going to take people over. They need a win this year, and maybe if that's just trying to work out where to shove a giant console or two into their TV cabinets, then that's the win they're going to get.
Yeah, totally. Excuse me. That's not my robot in the chat said, aren't they completely sold out of pre-orders too? They are. They haven't released numbers on how many pre-orders they put out and how many consoles they've made. So we don't know that number. We know that they had to lower the amount that they were planning on making. But the other thing that I thought was, I wonder what Xbox's expectations are, because, we've had this conversation a lot about how they're going for a service direction as opposed to the console. And that I do, after doing lots of thinking about it, way more thinking than this topic actually deserves, but I have landed on the idea that I am more excited for a PS...
Gesundheit.
Thank you. I'm more excited for a PS5 than I am for an Xbox.
I'd get a PS5 as well if it was just for the selling point.
I'm more excited for a PS5 than I am an Xbox, because of the reason that I can play all those Xbox games on my PC. So yeah, that maybe that is the thing that you go, oh, well, they see that as their unique selling point, is that they've got a console where that's the only thing that you can play these games on. And I would be keen to see what Microsoft think they're going to sell in terms of the two different kinds of Xboxes that they're putting out.
But again, it's that thing. At the end of the day, we're looking at a stat which is just a number of consoles off, moved, versus that service comes with a fee, and at the end of the day, that's something that Microsoft will have. Maybe they're playing the long game, as we've speculated, in terms of getting people onto their pass system, onto the Game Pass, and staying loyal to that. So financially, and again, Microsoft's in the position where they don't need to worry as much about that. But looking ahead, maybe amount of consoles off shelves isn't the number that's actually as impressive as it sounds when you're looking at total people attached to your core games and through their service, that kind of thing as well.
And in the chat, who beat me to it? Someone can't actually find where you are. Oh, there you go. Scully said, I heard JB are giving people 5 days to pay. They are, which was the next thing I was going to say, is that story this morning on Press Start from Shannon said that JB Hi-Fi are sending out pre-order payment messages for PS5 and Xbox Series X that you have until midnight on Sunday to pay the full amount for your pre-order, or you lose your console. And that is basically a month before it comes out. You have to have fully paid off the whole thing. Yeah, which is bizarre.
Yeah, what benefit does that serve outside of them just securing those numbers? I guess maybe they have that many people forfeit on theirs, but you still lose a deposit. Isn't that the point? So
I imagine you probably would, actually. Yeah,
if they made it a deposit amount, you would lose that amount, and then you'd sell a console to someone else. So, and they're clearly in high demand. So yeah, I'm wondering what the thinking is behind that. Maybe Sony's saying you need to make sure you are going to move these off your shelves. We don't want to have them lying around in stores, because I was going to bring up before saying that there's they're sold out or across to different stores and that kind of stuff. That's because stores buy up the numbers that they're going to put on the shelves. There's always that amount, isn't there, as well? Or am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, so there's allocations that they have of we know that JB Hi-Fi know that they can get access to X amount, or believe they can get access to X amount of consoles. Because the thing that's happened all over the world, not just here, is people saying, with JB Hi-Fi, when you pre-ordered your console, you put down the deposit and you get in the queue and you secure it and you get the confirmation email and everything. But there's still fine print that says this doesn't actually guarantee you a console. This guarantees that we're going to try to get you a console before everybody else, but not even actually that you get one.
Because I'm trying to think of those situations, and I'll be really quick about it, that in the past I find pre-ordering such a strange beast, because in the past there's been examples where I haven't pre-ordered. I generally don't pre-order, and then on the day I remember it comes out, I might wander down to a store and walk in, and I'm trying to think of the examples, but 9 times out of 10 I've gone in and there's been shelves full of the thing I want, and I've gone in and purchased it, but then I've chatted to someone 2 days later who's I'm still waiting on my pre-order delivery, and I'm what are you talking about? I went and bought it. I think I went to Halo 3. I went to EB Games, and they're like, we have no copies. Did you pre-order? There's none here. I was like, oh, that's really disappointing. I literally walked 2 shops up to JB, and they had shelves full of them. So they'd only brought in their pre-order numbers. It's insane. Like, it's a weird sort of ecosystem of purchasing that I find, boggles the mind.
I think this console launch is slightly different just in terms of there's limited display all over, but I've been in the same boat. Like obviously everyone, there's tons of stories of people disagreeing, but I've been the exact same thing. It's like iPhone, never pre-ordered one. I always just walk into like an Optus shop and they're like, oh yeah, we got it here. And
they ask you if you pre-ordered? They're like, have you pre-ordered? No. Okay, I'll go get you one. I'm like,
yeah, it's like, all right, cool. And then finally on this, the Balance AU in the chat says that Big W sent out an email a couple of weeks ago giving until November 2nd to pay the full amount. So JB Hi-Fi 3 weeks earlier or you lose your console, which is very rough, I think.
Sure, but again, does that drive the conversation to think that it is a decision that's coming from the suppliers saying you need to secure these payments? It's not just JB thinking,
not if Big W or like... You've got until the beginning of November to do it. Maybe they've got a different system where they like it's not like, but even so, it's not like if JB Hi-Fi only had, let's say, 5,000 pre-orders and then ordered 6,000 consoles. It's not like they're not going to be able to move that extra 1,000 consoles that they bring in.
But that's what I was saying before.
You and I are going to walk in and go, oh, do you have an Xbox Series X round? They're going to be like, yeah, we got tons. You want
There'll be a queue of people waiting for pre-orders and there'll be an empty queue. And then I'll do that awkward thing where I just walk up with one off the shelf. I'm like, this one, please. And everyone's like, oh, lucky bastard.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll see how the PS5 goes. And we won't have long to wait because at the end of March, we'll see if you've sold over 7 million units, which is a lofty goal, and good luck to you. Something that PlayStation are hoping will sell those consoles is the 3D audio, which I have not really done that much looking into.
Oh, good, because I was going to say, Nick, tell me more about 3D audio, because I know nothing about it. I now know a little bit, but I'm actually super excited about this. So audio is always one of those things that I value. Annoyingly, I value less than everything else when actually you go, it's incredibly important. But we remember when they announced the PlayStation, they had that trailer where it was like, here's the massive console that's the size of your house, and then here's all the sexy additional things you can buy. It's made of little glowing blue balls.
Exactly. But they showed the headphones, and I was like, oh, okay, that's a cool pair of headphones, and that's there for the 3D audio. And I was like, okay, so you're going to need to buy these headphones to get basically virtual surround 3D audio, move your head, and you'll hear things behind you and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
It turns out that you don't need to do that. That the Pulse 3D wireless headset is a very good headset that you can use, but the PlayStation 3D audio will work with most USB headphones and even headphones that you just plug into with the 3.5mm jack.
Really?
And so you're going to get surround sound, virtual surround through most headphones that you can plug into the console, which is a super, super cool thing to be offering, which I feel like I just haven't heard that much about yet.
Yeah, again, it's hard to sell audio in like a trailer or to anyone through a visual medium. Like, it's hard enough to sell a console when you've got nothing to show but a render of the console. So, not hard if they're apparently going to sell 7 million. But the idea of showing off a new feature, I still don't, I'm with you, I don't think of audio until the last minute, and it's annoying because it is one of those things that is like more than, half the sensorial kind of way to enjoy a game. But until I have like a side-by-side of how this sounds, it's really hard to test audio because visual fidelity, obviously you can do a side-by-side, but you need to kind of like change those headphones and be like, oh, okay, that's what I'm hearing here. Same thing with things like noise cancelling. It's like I didn't really understand what it was properly until I tried a good pair on headphones that did that. So I'm confused by the sense of how much better this is than like currently I play like Xbox with an Xbox headset, but that is a 3.5 jack that I listen to, and I can hear someone running behind me. So is that not 3D audio? How different is this? This is like Dolby surround kind of simulated, is it? That like 6 points of difference or 8 or whatever they're up to now.
Yes, it's it is that it's about it's not just about positional stuff, it's about realism. So there's things like they were using the example that you'll be able to hear individual drops of rain and that sort of thing. So I think it's more points of sound sources. It says that the Tempest 3D audio engine can process audio from hundreds of in-game sound sources to offer an elevated level of realism without the need for expensive audio gear. So basically, instead of just going, oh, the voice is coming from this direction, it's going, the voice is coming from here, the leaf rustling is coming from here, there's raindrops down here, and there's way more different points of sound that have individual information nodes attached to them.
Yeah,
so
okay, right.
All of that is more immersive as opposed to just like directional. So
and maybe as
that's
you said,
my
like
broad understanding.
Yeah, and to have multiple sources at once versus just that idea of like, oh, it's you can only hear everything behind you right now and that kind of thing. Which is, look, that's cool, and that sounds like something that will, when you finally hear it, go, oh, there's a difference. I'm surprised it is 3.5 mil and not just USB, because that sounds like something that's a data driven kind of process. But
totally.
Yeah.
Well, they're also saying that they're planning on adding it to televisions and soundbars with an update in the future. So just normal TV speakers will, in theory, also be able to have this 3D audio thing, because it is basically, I mean, again, I have no idea how it technically works, but the PlayStation is doing all of the work and then is just outputting it through your speakers, and somehow your speakers know what to do with that audio.
Obviously,
which is just
it's all a software side thing that's happening on the grunt on that end, and that's a cool feature to have. That if it's not becoming a standard, if it's not, you're like, oh, this is coming out in every TV and every audio device you've played with. If it's something that they can hang on to as an exclusive, then that is something I want to hear. Demon Souls things creeping up behind me from numerous different directions. Like that would be an atmospheric game. Would be bloody amazing with that kind of level of detail.
Totally. And it says that some of the games that will feature 3D audio are Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, Astro's Playroom, Gran Turismo 7, Returnal, Destruction All-Stars, Demon Souls, Ratchet & Clank, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Horizon Forbidden West, Resident Evil Village, and many more. So it sounds like most of the games.
However, there is a game missing off that list, which does further put forward that
very good point.
Maybe it's not on that list for a reason. I'm just saying.
That is, I mean, when you add Returnal to this list, and you don't add Godfall,
and if you're playing a game and you hear something behind you and you go, did a god just fall behind me? No, it didn't. I couldn't have heard it because it was cancelled.
If you're right,
head to sportsbet.com and put a bet on this. If it's not a category already, it bloody well should be.
Is that how betting works? Can you request categories? Can you request bets?
I don't think so. But apparently the all the political ones on things like Sportsbet have all been suspended due to Trump getting coronavirus. So people were putting on heaps of bets over the US election and all different scenarios, but they've all been put on hold because of this.
Why? That's not how it works.
I would have thought the same thing. They're just like,
the election's still going ahead.
Yeah, your odds should just sway in one way or the other. But that's
ridiculous. That's insane.
But like
that's basically like going, you're betting on a sports match and then
one team forfeits.
The best, but like the best player on that team gets sick and so won't play, and you go, yeah, but the game's still going ahead. That's wild.
Although I think I'll probably get this wrong, but it's like Sportsbet or one of those sites has said, no, we're not going to do it anymore, but like Ladbrokes are still going, and there's some other terrible site that's like, no, we're going to still up the odds.
Is it Ned? Is Ned the other one that I keep seeing ads for?
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. Maybe
maybe
my algorithm doesn't think I'm betting enough.
I wonder if are we breaking any TOS by talking about betting? Are we fine with this?
Gambling is terrible, and don't do it. There you go.
Neds. There you go. What a weird gambling's weird, man.
It is.
All right. So 3D audio. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I am excited for this.
I wasn't at the start of this
7.5 million
morning. I am now.
Consoles. All right. Something else to get excited about. Cyberpunk 2077 full map leaked. As spotted by Reset Era. Several physical goodies from the boxed copies of Cyberpunk found their way online over the weekend. The pictures show us our first proper look at the complete view of Night City, finally putting the game's various districts and surrounding regions together in one complete picture. Peter, can we see that map?
I'm upset it's not a cloth map. I'm assuming if it came in a box set, it needed to be a cloth map. Isn't that what they
Do
usually
you think that they would have been using clothes? I mean, it should be written on like the skin of a gang member. It should be a tattoo.
Oh God, like from a tannery or something, but from a human tannery. Yeah, there you go. That's the look of it all. And I think more so than the usual reason that people are like craving to see a game's open world map is to usually see the size, and then we get those comparisons where they're like, here's how many GTA 5s you can fit into this map, which I'm sure I'm sure in this case, here's how many Skyrim worlds fit in that. I'm sure it is fucking huge. But I also think what people are more interested in here is the connection of the different districts and the regions, because that was the thing that we all got thrown a bit by the that last trailer, or maybe 2 trailers ago, where we saw like a real difference in areas, not just your really condensed CBD city center, but you were seeing like deserts and kind of like shanty towns and that kind of stuff. So here we're seeing that in correlation with, I mean, obviously we realize that the deserts are outside the city, no big surprise there, but we can start to piece it together a little more. And I reckon this is going to be one of those ones that, like, you can see the tops of high-rise buildings, which gives you the idea of how big a building is in the city, and a stadium and things like that, which therefore doesn't look as big as I think people are hoping this world to be. I know I was just thinking it's going to be like, oh, you drive for miles in each direction. But I think the density is going to be what makes this feel huge and feel very long-lasting as a map to explore. What do you think of it?
Before I get to that, I just want to shout out the poll that's in the chat right now. Godfall cancel before release. There were 5 options. Gus is totes right. Gus is wrong. I don't care. I hope Gus is wrong. I hope Gus is right. I don't care is winning with 47% of the vote. But then 25% of the vote, I hope Gus is right. So you've got 25% of people hope that you're right about a game that people have worked.
Surely the category of I don't care sways into the side of I hope it should get cancelled. Like, they're the people who don't care because they're not going to play it, therefore it'll be cancelled.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
you don't feel passionate enough about it. The map. So interesting that, like, obviously, I think the GTA thing is, like you said, is a very obvious comparison because it's a city. The Witcher, which is obviously the last game that Cyberpunk made, much more sprawling than this, and so it was a much sort of like spread out map. The density, like you said, I think that's probably the key thing here, because the thing that Cyberpunk can play with, and I assume they will, that something like The Witcher couldn't, is a lot more verticality. So you go that it's not just about there's more in a small space. It's that looking down on this in the same way a city is, that a bunch of this would be high rises and buildings that are filled with stuff. So if you took that out and spread it, then you're going to see a lot more content.
So what we're replacing the long rides along paddocks with just elevator rides now? It's just going to be a lot of going up and down in buildings.
Totally, yeah. But if that is the case, that's quite exciting to me. I think I prefer in open world games the idea that everything is very close and achievable. I think that I get fatigued by games where it just feels like everything is spread out and you do those long rides across the plains or whatever. Totally. Because I kind of just get overwhelmed by scale. But I tend to not get overwhelmed by like things to do if it is a smaller, denser space and it is just like, oh, there's just tons around me right now that I can do. For whatever reason, that doesn't trigger the same sort of thing in my brain. I think when I zoom out on a map and I go, oh my God, I've only played like this much of the game and the map is this big. Like, how am I ever going to finish this? Whereas if I'm constantly just looking at this and just walking into multiple buildings and things pop up there, then yeah, that feels more achievable to me. It's also, I think that the big thing that they've been leaning on with everything that they've been showing of Night City is this idea of like a real living world, like unlike we've seen in any other game, even a GTA, that it feels like this place is completely an actual city. And in order to achieve that, you need to have most buildings be something that you can walk into, not just some buildings with glowing doors around them and the rest of them are just like textures.
To be fair, every door will be glowing in this game based on the aesthetic.
That is true. That is true.
No, you're spot on. And I think a couple of points there are that, like, I think first and foremost, the idea of like large open worlds that had a lot of travel time, I feel like is a bit of a hang up from the early days of developing open world games as a genre or as a style of game, where it was like early technology meant that you could make a map bigger and you could increase travel time. And early on, when we hadn't experienced that in games, that still held with it some element of wonder. And it was like, oh, I've been riding for however long in this direction. Like, it keeps going. Like, that had an element that made us all excited. I think we're all well and truly beyond that because we've all traveled a lot of distances in a lot of games. I'm talking all the way back to kind of your GTA kind of, I guess, San Andreas's and that sort of thing as well. So that wonder is gone. And now I think you're right. The density of a living, breathing world where everything moves, every door can be opened, all that kind of stuff is the new watermark to kind of reach. And I think what this does as well is by making a world where hopefully it is as living and breathing as possible. Because realistically, the last one that did that was like a GTA 5, and that came out a long time ago in the scheme of things. Like, that was the game where everyone had something to say, where you could push people over and they'd drop their burrito and all that kind of stuff, where had those videos about like, here's how many things you can do that you didn't realize you could. That game came out how many years ago now? GTA 5?
2013, was it?
I feel like it might have even been... Yeah,
it was 2013, yeah.
Yeah, right. So that is a serious chunk of time that a developer like CD Projekt Red could go like, we can really ratchet this up now to make you have jaw-dropping moments of every person has a life cycle or something going on. So I think that outweighs the wonder of going, oh, I've got to drive all the way to the end of that big city and that freeway and all the way back. And for me, it only increases the wonder of going, once I've stayed in an area and really got to know it, the idea of then getting to step out of that. Doesn't matter if the travel time's long. It's when you have those scene changes or those times that boom gate finally opens and you can head out somewhere else, which they've said you can do from the start, I guess. But that increases the joy of going to new areas when you know they're going to be full of something. If you know you're driving to a desert, to a wasteland, to a factory, to a wharf, to a docks, you're like, cool, and a lot of nothing here, a lot of cool textures, but that's about it. So, yeah, I'm excited to see a dense, really thought out, well-created city that's not just like long travel time. Also, last point, it does give you those moments where it's like games that do that well give you those moments of like, of to pause and they'll play a bit of music or something when you finally get to travel to a new distance, travel to a new area. And it plays into the story better rather than just those moments of, as I said, oh, I've got a map quest marker on the other side of the world. Yeah, that's what does my head in. And so if they can really sort of create a cool story out of how the map is created, I'm sure they will. Sorry, I just got myself excited about that game thinking about it.
Wait, about Cyberpunk?
More like I'm already excited, but I just reminded myself seeing a bit of that footage and thinking about how dense that game is going to be. God, we all need a dense game right now.
I know. It's what? Like, November is an insane time for video games. It's just going to be ridiculous. But yeah, it is. It's crazy that it is nearly upon us because we've been talking about and thinking about this game for so long. And then suddenly it's just a little over a month away and we'll be able to get in there. So yeah, I am basically everything I see from this, I just get more and more excited.
But how many GTA 5s can it fit? That's the real question.
That is the real question. I reckon if you stacked them on top, it would be a ton. You build it up.
They do that, a vertical version of it. That's great.
Totally. Moving on now. And so this story, so Tachanka from Rainbow Six Siege, the meme character, our Lord and Savior. So Tachanka, if you don't play Siege, is a character who, he's an operator who sets up with a turret gun and a big shield and just sets up in a corner, and he's basically useless. He's a total meme, and people only pick him because he's terrible. And they've been promising a rework of this for about a year now, and it looks like that later on today or early tomorrow morning we'll get news of how that remake is going to appear. But there has been some leaks already. So you see that's him there without a shirt on, dropping flamethrowers, dropping flame bombs, from like a flamethrower. So they have reworked him entirely, and he is now getting a flame grenade launcher. His mounted machine gun will become his primary weapon, and it will be detached from the big shield thing that he has. And he looks like he'll be a 3-speed movement. There's a bunch of pigeons. So the footage that you're seeing now is actually from hackers playing the game who have gotten access to it. Yeah. And so, but they are going to rework him. So the reason that I thought this was interesting just to bring up is, how do you feel about the idea of some games having meme characters that kind of suck, but that's okay.
I'm a little sad that they are finally sort of fixing the character, so to speak, because especially in a game where they are really enjoying creating new operators and building new sort of class types with it, I don't see, if no one's playing as this character, it's make a new character. I would have thought, like, leave them to the roster, because at least you're still getting that same joy that people get from playing with this dumb character. The sad part is, I remember when I first started playing Rainbow Six Siege, a friend of mine loved this character because he was like, at the beginning when people's skill base was far lower than it is now, you could put him in a corner and people would run around and be like, I don't know how to kill this guy. Like, he's got a shield and I can only shoot his shins, and he just decimates me with this turret. So it came from a place of the character wasn't a joke from the beginning, clearly. So a little part of me is sad that they haven't embraced that meminess and that sort of shonkiness of the character. But that only comes, as I said, from the fact that they can create new operators. It's not like you have these 8 characters that will never change, and there aren't any extra ones. So, leave him as part of the family, as part of the roster, embrace it the way Ubisoft can do. Like, you've seen them in the past lean into inside jokes in their games and make that part of the culture of it. So, yeah. I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
No, I totally agree. Like, I think that Siege has rarely made a misstep, and I don't think that this is a real misstep, but it just feels like Siege's success has come from a really passionate fan base that have embraced the game, stuck with the game during some rough parts at the beginning, and have kind of helped shape the identity of the game as going from hardcore military sim to this sort of fantastical group of
personality class-based, and that Tachanka being rubbish is a part of the story, and it is a very fundamental part of this story. Like, everyone knows them, everyone who plays knows the memes about him. So it just seems a bit like, oh, you could have left him. And I think that's a great point, that if it was just we only have 8 characters and one of them is useless, so therefore we actually only have 7 characters, then yes, do a rework, because that's useless. But you release 2 to 4 new operators. Tachanka's better brother.
Season.
Like, release him and make him a new character and lean into the lore of the game and be like, there's a complex between the fact that then people might find Tachanka more endearing and think like, you know what? I relate to him. I'm going to play as him again. And suddenly there's a surge of Tachankas playing the game constantly. And
BRB Cycling, the chat, they could have come out with his twin Chatanka, who did it all right. Yeah.
And also, just like, as someone who had to spell his name on a piece of product that we had to put up recently, name that is spelt badly, especially by me.
Even the name is just ridiculous. Meme. But yeah, so RIP Tachanka. I'm not going to say we barely knew you, because we knew you probably too much. But you will be missed, and you've now just become a part of the lore of the game. Okay, so Angus, did you watch this trailer?
I did not. It says specifically, do not watch this trailer.
Good. I wanted to show you, because you and I were talking about Yakuza Like a Dragon, right?
Yes.
And I just wanted to show you the new Yakuza Like a Dragon trailer, because
I saw a thumbnail for this morning and thought, I should watch that. That's the game that Nick is convinced that I would actually really enjoy. And the thumbnail for it was the guy's face screaming into the camera. So I'm sure this is a sensible and very considered trailer that shows off features of the game.
It is just so crazy. I am very, very excited for this game. Peter, can we please watch this? Let's just, ladies and gentlemen, please just enjoy a little Yakuza Like a Dragon. Right. Keeping in mind, this is a game where you play a mob boss and it's a brawler.
You're part of the Yakuza. A real life, serious game. Right? I mean, there's the dragon.
All a hero needs is a quest. I finally found mine, and I'm going to play it my way.
You're eccentric looking. There's karaoke. I've seen that in lots of these style of games.
Shareholder meeting.
What? Little mini game? Sure. Oh, you play Virtual Fighter. You want to rock band? Chicken. What?
Yeah, there's cat out of ball at his face.
What the fuck? It's just mini games, isn't it?
It is. I mean, a lot of Yakuza is just mini games.
I say, with the right friends, anything's possible. And I mean anything.
It's turn-based from that, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
These are my friends. This is my quest. And we're about to rise to the top.
Oh my word.
And keep it running because it's actually this part is my favorite.
To say goodbye. I'm such a mess. I'm lost. I'm no good at this.
So there's a lot there in that last bit that I just want to unpack.
Sure.
They're at a karaoke bar. The guy is initially standing up and singing. They then cut to him and he's sitting down singing. They cut to the main character who's clapping along out of time with the singing and just sort of slapping his hands together. and then it doesn't even, and then it ends, the end of the song is like this weird, like, halfway through the lyrics. It's not like the crescendo. It's not the end of the chorus. Yeah, it's...
You know how to get me with a bad edit. That's the thing that does my head in. I'm just like, Are
you more excited for this game now?
I will play this game on a live stream or with an audience to talk and have fun with. Because I think I said this when you were playing Paradise Killer. I have trouble playing these weird games when I'm... Like, gaming is a solitary act for me outside of the few multiplayer sessions that I enjoy. So to play this and enjoy I find it hard to enjoy that level of weird or strange development, by myself because I just feel silly. So it's fun to have people to play along with. So maybe this, as I said, this might do really well as a streamed game. I don't know how to take this game seriously. I think the best thing to do is lean hard into not taking it seriously, but I'm intrigued and I will give it a go. One thing I will say that I find interesting is that, like, of all the batshit crazy stuff we saw in that trailer, I shouldn't say batshit crazy because what I'm now going to say is that, like, of all the very strange and silly and interesting ways that they've found mini games and things to put in there, what I find interesting is that, like, if you've been to Japan, like, they have crazy, they have karaoke bars everywhere. They have pachinko arcades. They have little, like, they gamify so much in their lives. And that it's such a strange thing to see that realistically, there's quite a few things here which almost exist in the real world that they're just hyper stylizing and having more fun with. But it's, little filters on cameras and like arcades that have photo booths that do things to your face weirdly. Yes, it's obviously more extreme, but it's setting it in Japan, obviously, and in having fun with those elements of that sort of Japanese lifestyle. It's cool. It's cool that it's not just someone going crazily over the top. They are actually basing it on sort of fun, wacky things that people do in urban Japan. Like, it's and that's why you see in all those other similar games, there's always heaps of mini games and stuff. It's like finding little egg capsule machines and collecting strange things. Shenmue had all those kind of strange ones as well. Like,
totally. And it with the other games, it's not always perfect, but generally they seem to be able to thread the needle between the tone of switching between the seriousness of parts of the story and the weirdness of the things that happen, because it's often that the story is isolated as this thing that they're taking quite seriously, but then a lot of that side stuff is he is going out to just have fun and relax or whatever, and that the side missions that you encounter are a lot of weird people that he runs into that take him on these adventures, but they're kind of like they are separate from that main story, and so
it draws you back to that core story eventually of like, oh, your boss was murdered brutally and your daughter is kidnapped and you're sad because your wife is like, there'll be some real, as you said, like a weighted real storyline, which makes the juxtaposition between just the batshit crazy stuff you're doing in the meantime, like, kind of sometimes have more weight to it when you come back to those story threads and think like, oh, I care about these characters now because I've had fun with them. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So no, I'm super excited. It unfortunately comes out in the same sort of 2-week period as literally everything else, and they're all 40-hour plus games. So I wonder how that'll go. But I'm definitely going to be checking that one.
Nicrotex in the chat. This looks like Akihabara the game. So yes, if you've been to the Akihabara district in Japan, you'd be like, there is so much strange, colorful, interesting stuff going on down there. It's like, what a canvas to then paint a game on. It's just like, Love
Absolutely. And then finally today, I just wanted to shout out a couple of things that are coming out today that are available, because there's been
Bit of a drought.
in the last couple of weeks. Bit of a
dry
drought,
spell.
yeah, just before we get to the madness. But today we've got Baldur's Gate 3 coming out into early access on Steam and I assume some other places. I should actually look that up. But yeah, Baldur's Gate 3 early access at the moment. It's the first act of the game. Are you gonna play that? Do you play these kind of like early access stuff where you only get to play a bit of the story?
No, predominantly not. And honestly, I've never really got into the Baldur's Gate series. A friend of mine really loved them. And it felt like when I was younger, I really liked sort of more immediate action games. And now that the older I get, the more I really enjoy diving into these, your Divinities, your turn-based, slower burn games. And I almost am more excited by the fact that there's only one act. Because it's like the overwhelming nature of how big these games are sometimes is what turns me off.
That is such a good point. It's totally how I felt this morning when I was like, oh, I'll wait until this comes out. And then I thought, hang on a second. If I wait till this comes out, I'll just play the first act and then I won't finish the game. And I'll feel like I haven't finished a game. But if I play it now, then I will finish the first act and I'll be like, cool, even though this wrapped up basically nothing, I technically finished this. And so therefore I feel like I will have gotten something out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I am with every one of these Larian games, which I really enjoy playing. I just play the first act and then I fall off. So
nice way to do it. I'm probably going to spend more time in that character creator, which I've seen a lot about online. It looks like an incredible character creator, and anyone who's played games with me in the past knows that I spend way too much time in those. All my friends who I played PGA golf with, I'm so sorry. But yeah, this looks like your Black Desert Online kind of level of character creator that people have been saying is amazing. So that's what I'm more excited about.
And I imagine that Steph is playing this right now. She's literally about to stream it once we finish. So
then we're going to spend hours in that just looking at the hair physics alone, I think. So
totally.
Look forward to that.
It was interesting that the initial space storage for the game was 70 or 80 gig, I believe. And then the developers came out yesterday and said, actually, you need 150. And it's like, whoa. Okay, that's double. And then someone asked them to clarify, and they said, the game is actually only 80 gig, but 150, we just want you to be comfortable. It's like,
we want you to be comfortable.
Don't tell me what to do with my hard drive space. Ridiculous.
Yeah, right. Again, hopefully it's going into that character creator. It's just all those hair physics and skin tone changes that you can just sit there and play with sliders.
Basically just that. So I'm excited for that. Another game I'm excited about playing, and I feel like I'm probably the only one, but the Solitaire Conspiracy. So the new Mike Bithell joint is out today. So I'm going to get me some Greg Miller telling me how to play Solitaire using spies as cards. But Bithell games I'm always interested in. They always have very unique gameplay mechanics and stories, and this feels like something that I'll sink a couple of hours into.
I can agree with that.
Finally, the Game of Thrones board game. Coming out on Steam. I don't know, have you played the board game?
I have not, no.
It's very good. It's just very big and complicated, and like all of those kinds of board games, difficult to get people together to actually play.
Yeah.
But it is fun, and it's very epic, and there's just a ton in it. And it looks like Fantasy Flight generally do pretty good translations to digital, and it looks like the stuff that they've got in this is this looks like a very good adaptation of it, and being able to play online is a very big help with this. So if you have not played it, I would recommend checking it out.
There is a point where board games get too ambitious, and just even if it's the amount of moving pieces and cards and tokens, and if you need to translate that level of comprehension to more than 4 people, it's like you are just never going to get the experience you're hoping for. I mean, sorry, that's in my personal experience.
No.
There are people out there who have passionate groups of friends who will all like sink a lot of time into a physical board game that they can do that with. But you've got Corona right now. People can't all go and play board games together, and you've got a way of just maintaining all the structure of those cards and choices and decisions. And even that thing in board games, the rule problem, where you go, hang on, does that mean? And then everyone can't come up with a decision on that rule, and so you all kind of have to hope that you made the right decision. You're like, that sounds like what they mean by don't draw 2 unless you go forward by drawing 3.
Totally, yeah, and that's actually a really big seller for me on playing stuff like this, because you can play it and it doesn't let you. This isn't like a tabletop simulator. This is a video game version of the board game, so it doesn't let you break the rules. It goes, this happens, and so therefore this is why this happens, and you can kind of like it's a better way of learning how to play the game than sitting down and reading the rule book, because you get to play through it a couple of times. But yeah, I the couple of times I've played it, I've really enjoyed it. 7-hour campaign, my first one, and my mates and I ended up absolutely despising each other at the end because there was so much betrayal, so much real betrayal.
Yeah,
that
right.
It got very, very messy. So
Have you got enough energy for this after? Is it Kingdom Quest 3?
Crusader Kings.
Crusader Kings. Sorry. Yeah. Are you still playing that?
I haven't gone back to it in like 2 weeks, and I really, really want to. I think probably this week I will. But yeah, it is interesting looking at that thing where you go, it's a board game. It's nearly tipping over to be Civilization. Once you virtualize a board game that much, it's like, at what point does it stop being a board game and start just being a video game? But yeah, I am desperate to get back into Crusader Kings. So yeah. All right, there are a couple of leftovers, but I feel like we can leave it there. Are they interesting? They're not interesting.
Not particularly. They were just little like announcements of things that are moving to different. Yeah, no, not particularly.
Go look at the NBA 2K21 trailer to see how good the PlayStation 5 Series X looks.
I just wish there was a sports game about a sport I cared about that would look that good, because I don't care about basketball.
What sport do you care about?
I mean, I guess your FIFA's surfing. I wish there was a good surfing game. God,
like California Games or something? Was that that's what I used to play that had not good, but definitely had surfing in it?
If that's the only surfing game you've played, there's a long way to go since the graphic updates on that. Transworld Surfing on Xbox One is the best surfing game ever made. Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, not that good. It was like a rip-offy Tony Hawk, Stationary Wave. Transworld Surf actually gave you...
wave.
It was just like, in the background was a plate, and the wave just like glided in front of it. And every time you bailed off a wave, it like dissolved to where you need to be back on the start of that wave. Transworld Surf let you paddle and pick a lineup and choose where you wanted to. You could jet ski to it, but you could also just paddle out there yourself and pick a good spot and sit there and surf with a mate. Oh, it was so good. Launch title on Xbox. It was on the back of the box of the Xbox when you bought it. It said, "Do you want to play this game?"
Really? Yeah.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like I like games like ping pong, tennis table, table tennis. Tennis table. Darts, as someone in the chat said, but also for you, maybe like a boating game, like competitive yachting.
Ooh, competitive yachting 2021.
Yeah.
I'd get into that. I think a sailing game would be great. There's so much to manage on that, and you could break that down into like copious different little tasks to run on a controller or something.
It's basically just racing. Like
I'm sure
there's tons of boat games. Are
they all I feel like they're all simulators. Like they're not games. They're not
no, I meant think about how much fun it is to do Black Flag.
I was just going to say Black Flag sailing,
and you go just add a bit more depth to the sailing physics or sailing mechanics. of that. And you probably
I played a broken game just because I liked its sailing, Windbound. So yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I need you all to shout out Jordan, who I don't know if they're watching or not. But this is Dusk Bunny, who a lot of you will know in the chat. She's got a date tonight with someone called Jordan, and we are trying to get Jordan to sign up to the Patreon.
Yes.
So if everyone could just tell Jordan to sign up to the Patreon, that would be very important. In fact, let me just check. I'm going to go to our Patreon.
There's a Jordan getting called out, and everyone's like, no, different Jordan. So I feel like... not Jordan Rasco, who we had on the show the other day.
It is. We've got I believe we have. Yeah, we've got $100 tier available if Jordan wants to really prove that they're committed to this relationship. Or we could open up another $250 and just see what happens.
We could make a single tier just for Jordan.
We could make a Jordan tier. Should I do that right now?
Make a Jordan tier.
I'm going to make a Jordan tier right now.
I'll have to make a Jordan Pocky as well.
You will. You better believe it's only one slot, Pete. Okay, here we go. I'm doing it right now. I'm sure this is compelling. This is compelling internet. Here we go. Add a tier. It is Jordan. Is it with an A or an O? With an A, it looks like.
I've read Jordan with an A for most of them.
Jordan, and we'll call
people are putting suggestions for the monetary value on it, but then the people are saying that's a reflection on the date that he's going on. So someone's like $5. I'm like, come on, that's not no.
Okay, so that's a good question. Do we want it to be like $500 or do we want it to be something that they'll actually sign up for? Dust Bunny, how much do you want?
Yeah.
People are suggesting $69.
That's very cheeky. Very cheeky.
And then Michael Jordan 23. Oh,
is that his number?
Okay. Yeah, Michael Jordan's number 23. That's a good amount.
There you go. There you go.
We'll put a tier image up there.
Dusk is valued at $1. But she wants him on the Discord, so fair enough. $2.30?
$2.30? Why $2.30? Oh, because
that's the 23.
Okay, cool. We'll make it $2.30. There you go. So we recommend pricing your lowest tier at $3 or higher. Fuck off, Patreon.
Piss off, Patreon.
I'll do what I want. I'm just going to let you know that he gets no perks other than access to the Discord. That's the only thing he gets.
In the chat, the soft touch has said the perk is that you get to date Dusk.
Oh, that's a pretty good perk.
That's a lovely perk.
That's a great perk.
Unless someone swoops in there and takes the tier before Jordan does.
Oh, that's a very good point. Well, we've only got one, so there you go. Save the tier, and there we go. It should be live on the Patreon page now.
Dolphin Pants is right. Only for Jordan, be good people. So yeah, we're going out and
totally.
We've got to be careful because if people are going to start demanding personalized tiers,
we're going to have 4,000 tiers.
We're just going to have all these separate tiers. Jordan, prove your love.
Yeah,
well done. There you go, guys. It is on the Patreon page. Don't head over there.
Oh God, hang on! I've accidentally given them all the perks. They get everything.
Oh.
Exclusive sponsor commercial, bespoke personal commercial. Get rid of all that.
No, I can't make any more logos. I'm already.
Do they get post-show access? That's where she mainly features.
That's true. I mean, it's the Discord, so you can get limited Discord access, can't you?
I'll give them post-show access because that's where she
that feels right.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Thank you very much.
Back Pocket has opened a can of worms. You're right, Potty Top. We have.
No, we've opened a can of love. And so we'll have to get Dusk Bunny to report back and let us know how everything is going.
Please do. Looking forward to updates.
Yeah, tell us about your can of love.
Tell us about your can of love.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I feel like we're going to do a bit of a Paladin Amber raid. So gird your loins for that.
She streams early? Yeah. Do we say, what should we write? Like,
can of love? Open a can of love. That feels right. Or do it for Jordan.
That'll be confusing, I reckon. They'll be like, who's Jordan? What's Jordan?
Open a can of love. Open a can of love. And while you're getting ready to join that raid, also, I implore you to check out the Metal Gear Solid gameplay that we put up yesterday on our YouTube channel. It is a fun time. I have never played that game before, and going back to it was a lesson in how games have changed, Gus.
They have. And Nick, what kind of segment was that called?
It's called a Back Pocket Playback Throwback. Yes, thank you very much.
From Nickelback. Well done.
From Nickelback. My favorite graphic of the show so far.
It's great, isn't it? It's great. Little Will doing awesome work. It is a very funny one. I enjoyed watching it, and I think we need to see more Metal Gear down the line. More throwbacks in general. I just love going back to classic games and watching you struggle with them.
Totally, yeah. My humiliation is the only reason that anyone does anything. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jordan's little tear in our Patreon. I feel like
I'm going to do a Jordan with a teardrop.
Oh, nice, like he's killed.
Yeah. Oh, no. Wait, what?
That's what it means. You didn't mean tattoo. You just meant an actual
a real
tear.
one. But it's crying with happiness, not a murder tattoo. Be real surprised for Dusk at the date turns up. So, how many people have you killed?
I don't understand why my mind immediately went to, he's a murderer. Well, that's something for her to find out on the date, I suppose.
That is. Cool. So I think we're going to jump across on Raid Paladin Amber. The raid message is open up a can of love. And obviously it's Wednesday, which it is Wednesday, my dude, which means that tomorrow is Thursday, which means that is show night at 8 p.m. 8? Not 8:30. At 8 p.m. over on this Twitch channel.
8 p.m. Australian
Eastern
daylight
daylight
savings time.
AEDT. Oh, I've got to update all my graphics. God damn it.
Yeah.
Watch the show. We're going to have fun. That's all I got to say.
There's a grapple? Skiverick says Nick never using the grapple was a thing. Oh, yeah, I got to start grappling people.
Yeah,
So
I was going to say, I thought you could maybe choke people out. But
yeah,
you
that
just went with
feels right. But
karate chop move.
Where's the fun in someone playing a game well? That's my question to you. All right, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Back Pocket. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Go to the Patreon, subscribe at any tier except for the Jordan Prove Your Love tier, unless you are Jordan, in which case I expect you to go there right now and prove your love. I threw out the word love. It's a pretty big one for a first date, but, these are trying times, and we need to
order two cold cans of love when you go on that date.
Two cold cans of love. Paladin Ember's coming up, and Steph is streaming at 12:30, so make sure you watch her create hair physics for 4 hours in Baldur's Gate 3. We'll see you tomorrow night. Back it out, Gus.
See you guys. Back it out.